Welcome to episode 2 of the Rusty Rhino. Today's guest is a real character. Quite literally, he plays Magog of Morskar. That's his YouTube channel. His real name's Jeremy, and it was a great podcast. Jeremy's he's quite the interesting dude, good guy, awesome time we had together in England. We deployed in 2009 together into Iraq, and you're gonna hear all about it. Thanks again for listening. This is the Rusty Rhino. All right, so Jeremy, thanks for doing the podcast. Happy to have you on, man. Got a pretty interesting story going, so I'd like to ask you some questions and see how your life was. We met in the Air Force, and I'm happy to have you here and talk about your time in the military, talk about what you did growing up, where you're from, and talk about what you're doing now these days. So,
right on. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. So how you doing?
I'm doing A-okay, my friend.
Yeah, A-okay. Me too.
Keeping busy. Doing my thing.
Yeah. So, you have any sort of daily routine that you stick to? You got a morning routine? What do you do? What does Jeremy do when he wakes up?
That's assuming that I ever sleep.
Yeah.
I am a bit of an insomniac. I've actually been up for 3 days.
3 days straight?
Yeah, pretty much. No, I'll take that back. I had a 2-hour nap yesterday.
Okay.
I had a 2-hour nap at about 1 in the afternoon and woke up at like 3.
Hey, so you got you do a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So you you say you set your own hours on that, huh? So you do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah, I like to keep a good schedule because even though I work for myself and I basically just rely on the cash flow from ads and merchandise and like Subscribe Star donations, things like that, super chat money for live shows, podcasts and stuff that I do live. I have to work in order to get paid. So you have to treat it kind of like a real job. Like if you don't keep at least some semblance of a schedule, then you never get anything done. So I may not have like a strict time I wake up. Like people with normal jobs, they wake up and they go to work and they clock in, and I did that since I was 16 years old, and that I'm fine with that too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not afraid of good days hard work, but with this kind of job, if you don't make your own schedule and stick to it, you end up floundering and you end up not doing content and you end up kind of getting lazy. So I like to wake up still kind of during the day, and I like to get a video out, write a script, get into costume, get into character, film the script, edit it, get it uploaded. And then once my work is done for the day, then I can just kind of do whatever I want. And I've got other side projects I work on and stuff like that. So I keep myself busy.
Yeah. So I don't know jack shit about editing videos or anything like that. How much work goes into one of those things? I'd imagine probably initially a whole ton, and then maybe you get into the groove of things, maybe not as much, but is this still, what's your average video length that you go through and edit, and how much work goes into that?
You are right about that. When I first started back in 2017, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I'm kind of self-taught, watched a lot of tutorial videos on how to use Premiere Pro and how to edit and everything like that. I already have kind of a film background. Before I joined the military, I actually, I worked a lot of odd jobs, but I had my hobbies, and, I did independent films when I was 19. I wrote a couple books. And so I've always been kind of a creative guy, and I already kind of knew the basics at least. So I had a little bit of a head start, but my first videos back in the day, they took 8-9 hours, sitting in front of a computer figuring things out. But I've got it pretty streamlined now. It just really depends on the video. Back when I first started, the longer form videos were more popular. So I was doing 20-minute long videos, response videos. a lot of political commentary and comedy, satire and insult comedy.
Yeah.
And they would take me hours upon hours. But nowadays I do these shorter videos, 5-6 minutes. And I'd say from start to finish, including editing, I can be done with a video about 4 or 5 hours.
Okay. Yeah. That's still, I mean, that's work.
Yeah.
That's fucking work, man.
But that includes the filming, the editing, the upload times, the render times, and writing the script and all that stuff. I mean, 4 or 5 hours, I can get 1 or 2 videos done depending on the content of the video. Okay. So if I add special effects, cause I don't do videos like other YouTubers. A lot of YouTubers, they do live streams or they upload audio with like a cartoon avatar. So they're not capturing film. But I do it. I chose the hard path. I actually created a persona, a character. I get into costume and I have lighting and sets, and it's a bit more involved for me,
Right. Yeah. You do some pretty awesome videos, man. What's your YouTube channel so people can hear?
Magog of Morskar.
Okay. That's what they type in the search.
Yeah. Well, if they just search for Magog, they'll find me. Magog. That's all you gotta do. I am the only Magog on YouTube. Just look for the drunk wizard.
Cool. So you mentioned nine. I think you said. Would you say 19? You were doing videos. So what was your childhood like? Where are you from? Where did you grow up?
Right here in Arkansas.
Okay.
I was born in South Carolina. My dad was in the military. For the first few years of my life, we were in Wyoming. F.E. Warren.
Oh, cool. So was he Air Force then?
Yeah, he was Air Force. My dad was Air Force. But after he did a year in Korea and a year in Alaska, he got stationed in Little Rock, Arkansas, Little Rock Air Force Base, which is in Jacksonville. And he never left. Little Rock Air Force Base is like a black hole. Just like sucks you in and keeps you here. And so I pretty much grew up here. Like I said, the first few years of my life, I was in Wyoming, because I was born, my brother was already born. I was born when my dad was in basic.
Oh, no. Okay.
So as soon as he got out of basic and tech school and got his first duty station, which was F.E. Warren, my mom basically grabbed me and my brother and moved to Wyoming. So I don't remember much about South Carolina except for my summer visits when I was a kid, go to see the grandparents and stuff, but for the most part, I grew up right here in Arkansas because, I think I was about 9 years old when we moved down here. I think it was the early 90s. I think it was 92 or 93, something like that. And, we've been here since. Cool. So I grew up right here in the South, and, went to high school in Jacksonville, grew up in Jacksonville. That's where the Little Rock Air Force Base is. And graduated high school in 2003, and I didn't have a plan for my life, unlike my siblings. My brother and sister pretty much went straight to college out of high school, but I was more of a figure out what I wanted to do with life kind of thing. So I worked a lot of dead end jobs, good experience, life experience, struck out on my own a little bit. Rented a house with some buddies of mine, had a bachelor pad, 19 years old, living on my own with my buddies as roommates. And, I did that kind of game for a while, but then, I hit my early 20s and decided I didn't want to be I didn't want to work retail anymore, or I didn't want to be a janitor anymore. And, I said, fuck it. I need to leave Arkansas for a little bit, experience the world. So at about 22 years old, I joined the Air Force. And that was 2007. I joined the Air Force in 2007. Went to basic training, got held back in basic. It was supposed to be 6 weeks. I ended up staying 9 weeks because I hurt my back in Warrior Week, and I had to go to the fucking med flight for two weeks until my back healed and I could do my sit-ups.
Yeah. So when I went through basic, there was a week of Warrior Week, and that was it. And then, did they have like the extended Warrior Week when you went through, or was it still?
No, it was still only 6 weeks when I went through, but shortly after I left, they changed it to 9 weeks.
Okay.
And they added another week to Warrior Week. But that was literally after I left. It was 2009. No, I'm sorry, 2008, because I joined in October 2007. So I got out of basic at around Christmas time. I went to tech school at Christmas Exodus. I arrived at tech school and then had 2 weeks off. Like, they processed me and then told me to fuck off for Exodus, you know? So
Yeah.
I literally got out of basic at Christmas time. Well, some of the guys that showed up after Exodus were like, we did 9 weeks. And I was like, really? You know? So no, my basic was still only 6 weeks. I was the first basic training class, to graduate with the new ABUs. Everybody before us had the BDUs.
That's what I was going to ask you. Yeah. I was wondering if you got the ABUs.
Yeah, I remember showing up at Fort Leonard Wood, and I was wearing the new ABUs, and of course I only signed up for 4 years, so I was a slick sleeve. And I didn't have any rank on my arms. And because it was the new uniform, and Fort Leonard Wood's a Army basic training base. And
Wow.
I remember after they processed me, I was really hungry, so I walked to the PX and to get a slice of pizza. It was like 8 at night. And I'm sitting there eating a slice of pizza, and this fucking drill sergeant comes running up to me and just starts yelling, "Did I tell you you could eat some fucking pizza?" And then I like looked up at him with like my mouth full. I looked like a mouse that just ate a bunch of cheese. You know, my cheeks were all puffed out. And he saw the front of my uniform, and he was like, "Oh shit, I'm sorry, Air Force. I'm not used to these new APUs."
Yeah, because they already had their ACUs, huh?
Yeah, the Army already had their ACUs, so he thought I was one of his troops because I didn't have any rank on my sleeves either.
Yeah,
You know,
you
'cause
probably looked pretty fresh.
yeah, and I was fresh out of basic, so I looked like I was a fucking trainee, you know, and I didn't have any rank on my sleeves because the Army has their rank on their front. You know,
Right.
it's a little fucking Velcro rank on their front, and they don't have it on their fucking sleeves. And because I was a slick sleeve, he didn't see any rank on my arms, so he just assumed I was one of his fucking trainees and started yelling at me.
Saw some blood in the water.
Yeah. You know, those Smokey and the Bear hats, they come running up to you, man. They put their hand in your fucking face. And that was a good time. You remember Fort Leonard Wood, only 6 weeks. They used to call us Pop-Tarts because we'd pop in and out, you know?
Yeah, because would they have pavement and equipment tech school there as well? I was friends with a lot of those guys. I didn't hang out with the VOps guys a whole lot. I hung out with a lot of the P&E guys.
Yeah. They also had fucking Marines there too, and Navy. I don't know what schools, but we had everybody there. I remember because I arrived at Fort Leonard Wood during Christmas Exodus, and then I couldn't start my classes till after Exodus, and we had it's Missouri. We had this fucking hella ice storm that just covered everything in a solid sheet of ice, and they had to cancel classes. And we couldn't go anywhere. You couldn't even walk outside without slipping on your ass. And one day I was like waiting in line for the chow hall, ice everywhere, Army, Marines, Navy, all standing in line to get into the chow hall. And this fucking Army dude comes out of the chow hall and starts walking downhill.
Oh.
And he slips and busts his ass. And without skipping a beat, this Marine next to me went, "Sniper!"
Oh, that's great. So were they still calling or driving around in like the red van, the red GOV van, they called it the Red Dragon when I was in tech school? Be on the lookout if we were doing something we weren't supposed to be doing, like drinking or something, or smoking out of phase. They'd be like, "Look out for the Red Dragon. You see that red van? That's the training instructors coming by."
I don't remember no red van, man.
Yeah.
I do remember the phases though, and as VOps, we were never in tech school long enough to get out of like phase 2. Like, we were never allowed to wear civvies, like, the entire time we were there.
So phase one was like, you had always
Yeah,
wear,
you had to be in uniform, and PT gear in the dorm. Or while doing PT gear. Phase two, you could wear PT gear to the PX. You could actually wear PT gear. You couldn't wear civvies, but you could at least wear PT gear instead of getting into uniform to go to like the store or to go to the PX or whatever have you. And then phase three, you could wear civvies finally. But we were there for only 6 weeks, so we never ever made it to phase three, you know.
Maybe I was waiting. I thought I had a week at phase three, but it could, I mean, I was already in for, when did I join? 2005. So I was in for a couple years, so it could have changed for you guys, but I remember, I'm pretty sure I had a week at phase three. I got to go down.
No, you're right. I would have had a week of phase three.
Okay.
But we had a week off because of the ice storms.
Okay.
So they had to catch us up quick. We had to like double up on our classes, and they basically had to get us out of there in 5 weeks instead of 6. And so I just never made it to phase three because that first week I was there was those ice storms. They canceled the fucking classes, and we just hung around the dorm in our fucking PT gear.
Okay. Yeah.
So
I remember coming in, you used to have, it was a fire guard or whatever the hell they called them. They would sit down in the lobby of the barracks, and like you had to check in and out every time you went anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you had to be back, I think, phase three by a certain time, but.
Yeah, there was curfews and stuff, yeah. I never got to go off base or anything. I was there for 5 weeks, and then I got my orders. And boom, I was at St. Louis Airport flying out to England.
Okay.
You know? And I only put one overseas base on my dream sheet, which was Ramstein. I thought it'd be kind of cool to go to Germany.
Yeah.
And they gave me fucking England, man.
Yeah, my first duty station was Davis Monthan out of Tucson. So you're lucky, man. Overseas base, first time, like right out of tech school.
Oh yeah.
Fucking hit the jackpot, man.
I thought I would regret it because I was kind of homesick. You know, you go through basic, you go through tech school, you're thinking, man, it'd be really nice if I got stationed out at, you know, back home, you know. Like I put Little Rock as like my first stateside base on the list. I was like, I want to go home.
Recruiter assistance program?
No, I didn't do that.
Okay. Yeah, so that was I don't know if that was still an option or not.
It was. But, I just didn't do it.
Yeah. Because I remember, because my family's from Wisconsin, so my dad drove down and picked me up, and we had a recruiter station, like 45 minutes from the house. So it was a week or two there. But yeah, then I went down to Tucson. So what year is it? It's still 07 is when you show up?
No, 07 is when I went to basic. I got out of tech school in 08. Remember, I got to tech school during Christmas of 07.
Okay.
So I graduated tech school end of January of 08. And I remember that it was middle of February actually, because we had Exodus, and Exodus was like 2 weeks. And I remember that because that was the year the Giants played the Patriots, and we had a big fucking Super Bowl party before we left. And okay. I got to watch my Patriots get their fucking asses kicked and ruin their perfect season. They won 16 fucking games in a row. They almost had a perfect season, and they got beat by the fucking Giants. God damn it, Brady. So after I watched the Patriots get their asses kicked, and don't ask me why I'm a Patriots fan. I grew up in the South. I grew up in Arkansas. I'm not from New England. But my brother growing up, he was older than me, and when we lived in Wyoming, he was a Denver fan because, you know, Cheyenne is like right on the other side of the Rockies from Denver. And so my dad took my brother when he was young to a Broncos game. He got to see Elway play, right? And My brothers love the Broncos since. So of course, I have to be opposite on my brother. I gotta pick a team that he hates. And guess who that is? Fucking Patriots. He fucking hates the Patriots because he's a Broncos fan. And those were the days when like Bledsoe played for the Patriots, right? And so I've been a Patriots fan since I was a kid, simply so I could be opposite my brother. And, I got to watch them lose and then go to England. That was basically, that was it. That was it for me. So I arrived in England February, somewhere in the middle or end of February 2008. And, that's when I, reported into the shop in England in Mildenhall, RAF Mildenhall. And I went through that, first duty station training they make you go to. It's like a week of classes before you can go to your job. And I did that bullshit and met a couple guys that were new. I'm still friends with a couple of them. One of them was a boom operator. He was already a senior airman because his tech school was like a year and a half. And then I just got to work, man. And then after that, it was, smooth sailing for about a year, learning my job, learning how to drive around England. You remember what it was like.
Yeah.
Getting certified.
Big ass trucks on those roads that are half the size as they are in the U.S.
Learning how to shift with my left hand. That was a new experience. Luckily, I already knew how to drive a stick growing up. You know, some of the first vehicles I learned how to drive. I think the first stick vehicle I learned how to drive, manual, was my buddy's 86 Chevy C10 with a 3-speed on the tree. Nice. If you can learn how to shift that son of a bitch, you can drive anything. So I already kind of had a leg up, because I already knew how to fucking, double clutch and all that stuff. And, that really helped me through my training because our civilian trainers would get in a vehicle with me and I'd just pop, pop, pop and go. And they were like, oh, thank you, God, you already know how to do this. Because they'd get airmen in that didn't know how to fucking drive a damn thing.
Yeah. So who trained you? Was it Dave?
Yeah, it was Dave.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Dave Green.
Mr. Green.
Yeah, I miss him, man.
He's a good dude.
Yeah, I don't keep in touch with a lot of the English guys anymore, man. I have them on Facebook, but, I hardly use Facebook. That's why it takes me forever to get back to you on messages because I hardly ever open the fucker up. You know, I fucking hate Facebook, man. It's a terrible company.
Yeah, they are. With all their censorship and everything. It took me years and years. I resisted it. And then now I'm on there and I'm like, I'm not going to anything else. Like, family and everything's on there. I can, show my mom pictures of my kid and stuff, and it's just easy, but
right.
It sucks.
That's why I kept it, even though I hate Facebook. I still have it, and that's just to keep in touch with old friends and family that I don't regularly talk to on the phone or locally. And that's the only reason I kept it, but I hardly ever check it. Like once a month, I'll log in, see if I got any messages or whatever. And that's because I just kind of hate the layout of Facebook. I switched to Twitter, and Twitter is a hellscape apocalypse of epic proportion.
Yeah.
But I use Twitter to promote my YouTube channel, to post my videos, and to do research for videos. You get a lot of politics, you get a lot of funny videos and stuff on Twitter, easy to download them and just do what I do, So even though I hate Twitter, I use it way more often than I do anything else. Simply because it's the best research tool and it's still the best promotion tool for your podcasts or whatever have you. So if you ever want this podcast to gain an audience, you might as well bite the bullet and get a fucking Twitter, man.
Yeah.
It's gonna
I'm gonna have to bite a few bullets.
Yeah. Just get it over with. It's like ripping a Band-Aid off. Just fucking get it over with. You're gonna hate it. Every time you log in, you're gonna see screaming assholes and fucking social justice warriors and radical fucking alt-right people. And I mean, you name it, they'll be on there and they'll be angry. That's Twitter in a nutshell.
Yeah. the smoke coming out of their parents' basement.
Yep. Even if you run into a moderate, it gets weird on Twitter because of the limited characters you can use. It's not a good place to have a concise discussion. It's all hot takes because you can only fit so many words into a message.
Right.
And it's because of that format that like tweets just come off as angry. Because on Facebook, I'll give it to Facebook. At least they let you like write a novel on a post. You know, you can write as many words as you want. But on Twitter, like on Facebook, you can be like, well, actually, the economic turmoil is due to the fact that over the past decade, America has lost a lot of its industry to China. But on Twitter, you just end up going, fuck China, goddamn commies. That's all you can really do, right? You know. So, but if you learn how to navigate Twitter in the right way, you can walk between the raindrops. And just my advice to anybody who wants to get into social media, get into social commentary, political commentary, anything on YouTube, live streams, anything like that, grow a thick skin.
Oh yeah.
And just let it go. You know, you're gonna get a message or you're gonna get a tweet from some asshole that has 6 followers. And he's going to get under your skin, and you're going to want to, like, quote tweet him and be like, this fucking guy lives in his basement, and he fucking jerks off every day to anime tits. Just don't do it. Just don't.
Not worth the effort.
Not worth it. Don't let these assholes fucking get to you. This is the problem with celebrities and stuff, too, is they let some fucking, they let these fucking trolls get to them, and it's like, people start thinking that what they see on Twitter is the same as real life. So when you see a bunch of angry people on Twitter, you think the whole damn country is angry. It's not. It's not, you know? So you gotta kind of separate the reality from the fiction, you know? I just went off on a fucking tangent. Didn't mean to. Where was I in my life sport?
You're just getting trained up by Dave Green.
Right.
So,
I go off on tangents because I've done, I don't know, hundreds of podcasts and live streams in my tenure as a YouTuber, and this always happens. We always end up going off on tangents, so you gotta keep me on the road, man.
This is the internet, man. You can do whatever you want.
Right? Now, that's one of the reasons I love what I do. The internet is the free flow of information. You can promote yourself. You can make money. You can do things independently. You don't have Hollywood producers telling you can't say that joke, you can't do this, you can't do that. However, it comes with some stipulations because a lot of these tech companies are starting to censor, they're starting to shadow ban, things like that. It's getting pretty hairy out there.
Yeah. So yeah, back to England. How's you getting trained up? You're getting acclimated.
You fucking what, mate?
Yeah.
For that first year, basically, I did all my, CDCs. And, I did all that and got leveled up. God, it's like an RP. It's like an RP. The military is like an RPG. You gotta get leveled up, right? You gotta
it is.
You gotta get enough rupees in your wallet, right? You gotta, and I distinctly remember killing at least 3 dragons before they let me go to Iraq.
Yeah, right? I think that was the number. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like at least 3 like wyverns, like from the Highlands of Scotland. You had to at least slay 3 snowy wyverns in order to finally pass all your fucking things. And then, by then I was an A1C. Once again, I went in as a slick sleeve. I didn't get my first wings until Airman Basic. I was Airman Basic. I get Airman. I get my 1 stripe. And then I had to earn my A1C stripes. And then I went to Iraq. And that was 2009.
Yeah, we deployed together.
Yes. You were on
Yeah.
a different convoy team, but we were all 424.
Right. Yeah. So 424th Medium Truck Detachment.
Which, I don't know. It was a big moment in my life, so I went ahead and got the 424 tattoo there.
Nice. Yeah, man. I don't know. I'm a little weird with tattoos. I'm just trying to figure out what the perfect one would be for that. And yeah,
I just got like the nice cursive writing under my vast tattoo. I got the 424 right there, you know.
That's legit.
And just nice, everything that's been a life-changing thing to me, I put on this arm. So Vast is the first tattoo because that was a band that, when I discovered them in high school, their music inspired me to write my first short story. And that was the first time I knew I wanted to be a writer. So I put that tattoo on.
Yeah, I remember you promoting a book you had wrote when we were in England. Yeah, I remember being in the break room and you're like, yeah, it's on, I think it was on Amazon, wasn't it?
Yeah. I self-published a couple novels, one out of high school, which is not well written, because I was in high school and I was a dumbass. And then I wrote my second novel while we were in Iraq. I spent a lot of time on my laptop when we weren't on missions. And, I finished the book when I was on my TDY to Germany after Iraq. And it's a horror novel because I was really into horror and, it's all right. You know, I kind of got away from novel writing and I'm more into script writing now, obviously. So I'm still writing. It's just a different format now. I write my scripts for my show, you know, so, but,
what was your perception of convoys? Like you get to England. I'm sure you got to hear about it. What were you hearing? What was the feeling like? I mean, what did you think you were getting into before you went over there? Before you went to BC3 Camp Bolus, which is a basic convoy training course that everyone had to go through.
I have I'd like to throw out a disclaimer. I have a strange brain. I have a dark sense of humor, and I have a odd brain. I've always been kind of an insomniac. I've always been a very creative person, but on the opposite side of that, I end up with bouts of OCD. I've had it since I was a kid. A lot of it I never really shared with people because I was kind of ashamed with it. I used to be. Now I don't give a shit. But because of that, I have different thoughts. Everything in my head is 90% like, what joke can I say to cover up my anxiety about a certain situation? And when people started telling me, "Oh, convoy duty's coming up. You're next up. You're next up. You know, you're done with your fucking training and you're an A1C now. You can be deployed. You might be on the next one." And the first thought I had in my head was, I'm gonna sunburn so bad.
I remember you walking around with your SPF 3000 fucking sunscreen on.
You know, for those listening and can't see any video of me, but if you go to my YouTube channel, you can tell I am just a hair off of being an albino. Like, I am white, right? I have blonde hair, blue eyes. I am pale. I'm like a lampshade, right? I get fucking moonburnt. Okay. Yeah. So my first thought wasn't, oh my God, terrorists and bombs going off and gunfire. My first thought was, I'm going to burn like a fucking vampire. like, you know? Yeah. And it happened too when we were in Texas, if you remember. It was like the first fucking 2 days I was there. And we were standing in line in our PT gear to get our morning fucking breakfast.
Yeah, which was new, because that was hot chow in the morning, wasn't it? When I went in 07, we only got hot dinner. So it was MRE's breakfast, lunch, and then the chow trucks came.
Right. But
Yeah.
standing in line for breakfast and the sun was coming up over the hills because it was the morning, and I got burnt on the right side of my body because that's where the sun was. I looked like Two-Face from Batman. I was fucking beat red, and I had to go to the fucking med tent because I got burnt so bad in 15 minutes. I was sunburnt to hell. And I had to sit out of like 2 days of training to let my sunburn heal.
I had no idea. You're in a different flight than me.
Yeah.
And that's weird. Like, cause 200 and something people show up from all different bases, from all over the world. And they all come together for this. I don't know. How many weeks of training was it? A month?
Yeah, it was a month. It was 4 weeks.
Yeah. So, and the whole idea, other than actually learning the tactics, was to become a cohesive unit because, the army and stuff like that, they deploy, the whole base will deploy together. So you're with the people you've already been with for however fucking long you've been at that base. Air Force does it differently because we're smaller. We don't have these massive, battalion sized units. What do we have in a shop? Like 15, 25 people, depending on who was out on deployment and who was there. So, you can't go stand up a whole operation with that. So they would pull from all over the world, and they would come together in this training, get to know each other and get the gel and get the training. So I, that's the thing. We probably didn't, I don't remember seeing you, but in passing, while we were deployed.
You probably do remember one thing about me though. Cause no matter what flight you were in, I was in Bravo flight. With, I don't want to say his name. I don't want to dox people, but, some of the people from Mildenhall I was in Bravo flight with. But everybody remembers my rock because I was the one that painted our rock.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. Actually,
and it was the airman holding the M4 across from a Centurion soldier holding a spear. And I painted it bright blue, and it had Centurions on the bottom of it. That was me. Because I've always, once again, I'm a creative person stuck in the military. I had to have my outlets however I could find them. And when they asked for volunteers to paint the rock, because there's these big rocks up there on the hill, and every deployment that moved through there for training would paint a design on a rock.
Yep.
And I got chosen to paint our rock because I volunteered for it. So you at least remember that. I was the one who, everybody saw that rock and was like, that's a pretty cool design with the Centurion soldier across from the modern day, American soldier. And, I had fun with that because they went and bought me some paints, and I got to skip out on some of the training so I could fucking paint a rock.
Yeah.
I have some really funny stories from that training too, man. I loved, Bravo flight. We had to do those, calls, they'd go, Alpha flight, and the whole gang would scream something, it was like a,
oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. We had a little saying that we would chant and they would try and get each flight to kind of out yell the other one.
Right.
Right.
And, yeah. Like because the movie 300 just came out, fucking Charlie flight was like, what is your profession? And they were all, from the movie. And we were like, lame. And so we got together with our master sergeant, and we were like, what's our call sign? What's our fucking, what's our cry havoc, right? And we came up with, Bravo flight, we'll fuck your face. And the first day we screamed that, our senior master sergeant, if you remember him, the senior master sergeant over the entire goddamn deployment, he was basically the highest rank next to the colonel, or lieutenant colonel.
Was this the chief?
Yeah.
You mean chief? Shaved head guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, talk like this. You want
Yeah. That dude, he was not happy with Bravo flight's call to
Let's
arms.
be honest. He wasn't happy about fucking
anything, right? But this is a funny story. So we yelled out, "Well, fuck your face." The chief had this scowl on his face when he heard it. But the colonel behind him was laughing his fucking ass off. And so at the end of training, all the families come up, right?
Yeah.
And there's like kids there. And so.
Yeah, my dad showed up to that one.
Yeah, my parents showed up too. And, cause they live in Arkansas, so Texas isn't that bad of a drive, and, we got approached by the chief and he was like, you're going to have to not say your line during the graduation. There's kids, and so we had to come up with one on the fly. And we came up with one with Redneck. Doc came up with one. Redneck and Doc came up with one that was, "Bravo
Doc.
Flight, we're not cheerleaders, we're truck drivers." And we'd go, "Whoa!" And that's the one we did for the families. But as the families got on the bus to leave the hill and everybody was getting ready to have our, 2 days off before we go to Iraq, the colonel called Bravo Flight. Charlie and Alpha went ahead and started getting on the buses. And the colonel come over and was like, "Bravo Flight, line back up." And they called us up and we got in and we were like, "Are we in trouble? What's going on?" And as the families and Charlie and Alpha Flight drove away on the buses, the colonel was like, "Let me hear that original cry one more time."
He said, "Do it."
And the chief was like shaking his head, and the colonel was like, "Do it. Do the original one now that the families are gone." And, "Bravo Flight, well, fuck your face."
Yeah.
So that's my funny story from the training. I remember that distinctly because I thought it was so funny that the chief was upset with us, but the colonel was laughing his fucking ass off.
Yeah, man. I have zero, I guess I'll say I got along and had great relationships with everybody as far as I can remember. I'm sure I had my tiffs, but that was the one person from my military career, that chief, that I just, not a fan. Not a fan.
Nobody was. Everybody hated him. He was a senior master sergeant when we were in training. He got his chief stripes in the desert.
Okay. Yeah.
He was a senior master sergeant. I want to say his name, but I don't want to dox people. This is going on the internet, but he was an asshole. He really was. He was a dick. And I think it was because he was in line for his chief stripe and he wanted everything to go perfectly so that he could get his fucking final fucking stripe, right?
Yeah. Were you there? Were you there in formation once? We were doing some chant or some shit and someone was saying something he didn't like. And he's like, "Don't say that anymore. Don't say that anymore." And then someone would say it. And he's like, "I swear to God, the next person that does that, da-da-da-da." And I let out like a hooah, and he's like, he thought I said it. Right. And he comes storming up and down the line. "Who said it? Who said it? Who? I'm gonna da-da-da." And then like a couple guys stood up. They're like, he didn't say it, man. Like in another time, I don't remember exactly what it was. Dude, it was just, I never had problems with anybody. That dude kept finding problems with me. And I'm just like, and it was never anything he said. Like I didn't, he was like, "You did this." I'm like, I didn't do that. Like the dude was just a pain in my ass the whole time.
Here's the thing though, looking back on it, I've lessened my hatred for him because and it might be my memory, human memory is not the most reliable thing, but looking back on it, I really think to his benefit, the reason he was such a hard ass and the reason he was such a dick was because I honestly think he was scared. He was terrified of losing a troop under his command. One of us dying, one of us getting killed. He was so fucking frightened of what we had to do that he wanted everybody to just be 100% all the time, to be perfect all the time, so that we didn't fuck up and die.
Yeah.
You could see it on his face. Sometimes when he's yelling at you, it was coming from a place of like, I'm scared that you guys are going to fuck up and die, and I'm going to have to fucking be at your funeral and write a letter to your parents. And that comes from a place of goodness. So I don't despise him like I did when I was there. I mean, when you're in the shit and he's yelling at you, you don't like him. But looking back on it, I really do think he cared about us.
Yeah. Yeah, that was my second deployment, and I had Chief Bunce was in his position on the first one, and talk about night and day difference. You know, so that was my experience. I'm like day and night. But yeah, you know, I think there's something to that, and especially in 2009, things were incredibly different. The amount of attacks and everything going on in 2009 were a fraction of what was going on in 2007 during the surge and everything like that. So we're going, and I think that was it too, because we were so wild in 2007. We were a wild bunch of people. And I think they let it go because things were so hot that they're just like, you know, we're going to focus on the shit that matters, and the little things we'll let slide. So yeah, we wait a couple days in Lackland after that, waiting for our airflow to fly over to Kuwait.
Yeah. We had a hold off in Germany for fuel. It was 16 fucking hours.
Was it Germany or? Oh yeah, that's where we blew the tires on the fucking airplane.
Yep.
The airplane landed a little too hard and they told us they blew out a bunch of fucking tires on landing.
Yeah, and so we had a holdover in Germany where because we were on mission, we couldn't go out of the airport. So we were basically hanging out in a hangar for fucking hours. And then we got to Kuwait, and I remember this too. We landed, the pilot came over the radio, and thank you for flying whatever we were on. And he was like, welcome to Kuwaiti International Airport. The current ground temperature is 129. And I said, don't open the door. Don't open the fucking door. It was like an oven. You ever open an oven and that heat just hits you in the face? Jesus, man. I got off that fucking plane. It was midday when we landed because we had the holdover in Ramstein, or I'm sorry, in
Eastern Germany, I remember.
Yeah, it was a civilian airport. It wasn't Ramstein. It was anyway. We had a holdover there, and we didn't arrive when we were supposed to because of the blown tires and stuff. And so we were supposed to land at night. No, we got there in the middle of the fucking day. It was hotter than shit coming off that fucking plane. I had to shit so bad. I ran straight for a porta potty. Right?
Right to the sauna.
Yep, right to the fucking sauna. And that's when a couple of our guys decided to smurf me. They drop a rock down the chimney and it splashed the blue water up onto your ass and turn your ass blue and boil your asshole.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, and
it wasn't me.
Yeah, no, it wasn't you. It was one of my guys from Bravo Flight. But they only did it once to me because when we got our armor and got issued our weapons and shit, I went to take a shit another time a couple days later, and I was in the porta potty and I could hear them whispering out there, and I charged my fucking weapon, and they were like, "Okay, Wolford, all right, man." I didn't have a magazine in it, but I went ahead and charged that handle.
But yeah, there was that was the trick too to shitting in those things. They used to take one of the whole rolls of toilet paper. If it was just cleaned, there's nothing in there yet. It didn't matter what you did, man. You would get the Smurf ass because it would splash back. Yep. So I would take a whole roll of toilet paper and just throw the whole roll in there as something for it to land on, so you didn't get Smurf ass.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, it was nasty.
But yeah, and then we did our what was it, 7 months, because we were also late getting out of there. we were supposed to leave 2 weeks before, and the other flight was late. The other deployment was late, so we actually did. I think it was 6 months and 2 weeks or something like that, plus training. So it was like 7.5 months gone from our home station, and we had to mail all our shit back. You remember that? Packing all your shit up in gorilla cases and going to the post office and mailing all your garbage back.
Yeah. Well, my crew we took a mission right at the end.
Yeah, you and you guys, and so did we. We did more missions than every other flight.
Yeah.
Or every other team. No, seriously, we did. Because we did more ammo runs than everybody. So I had 15 missions to Iraq and 15 fucking ammo runs under my belt. I had 30 missions, man.
Well, do you remember? I remember them saying that when we had to all of a sudden do a ton of those ammo runs, they said that they were ostensibly black on ammunition in Afghanistan, which means they were out. And we had to keep just running ammo and running ammo and running ammo. They pulled us back, I think, from some of the Iraq missions, and there was crews that were just turning and burning ammo for fucking weeks.
Yep. And we were one of them. Fucking every time a mission come up, Turner would take it. You know, because he didn't want to, and he was like the rest of us. We didn't want to be stuck in the PCB for a week. You know, it's boring. Let's get out and do a fucking mission, and at least we fucking be doing something. And I had some hellish fucking missions, man. I had some fucking missions where we were awake for 32 hours in the truck. Like one mission we did was all we were supposed to do was go from JBB to
Joint Base Balad, which is up Anaconda was another name it went by, up just for the civilian listener that doesn't know, north of Baghdad a couple hours.
Right. But we were only supposed to go from JBB to Biop.
Yeah.
Which was not a long, Baghdad International Airport, which was not a long drive. And it took us like 17 hours because every goddamn 3 miles we'd stop for an IED. Somebody would see an ID and we'd stop and call EOD and they'd have to come and clear it. And it took fucking forever. It should have taken us 2 hours to get from JBB to like Biop, and it took us fucking forever.
Oh
Jesus.
Shit.
Yeah. And then we had to download cargo and then upload new cargo. And so I was awake for 30 hours. You know.
No shit. Did you guys find anything about those IEDs? Did you hear anything like?
No, they just come and cleared them, man.
Yeah.
They were pretty easy. They were pretty easy to spot. At that point, I don't even think the Iraqis were trying that hard. They were just like, just throw it out on the road.
Yeah. Well, I think they were getting pretty good at wasting those dudes, planting them. So instead of putting some effort into it, they were just throwing them out there. Yeah. And I think a lot of those guys too, were forced to do it, forced to plant them. You know, hey, we'll kill your fucking family if you don't go plant this IED.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There was a lot of that shit. Yeah. But we'd see something in the dirt and we'd stop. And we did that like 5 times. It was crazy. That was one crazy mission. Another mission we had, we were stuck behind another convoy on Dirty Tampa on the way into Scania. And the convoy in front of us, their MRAP got hit with an EFP, explosive form projectile. Yeah,
and those were the ones that the Iranians were smuggling in.
Yeah.
And they, you know, the 155 artillery rounds was mostly what they used, or some sort of explosive like that. And they would pack it full of a charge and blow them up. But these EFPs were copper. It was an explosive, and then there's this copper plate, and that plate would form into like a fucking projectile, and it would punch right through most of the armor. This shit was deadly. That's what took out Barnes in 2007.
Mm-hmm. And when that MRAP got hit, where I was in our convoy, because we were behind another convoy team, so we were kind of all together on the road. It was 2 convoy teams 100 vehicles long, right? Because we had the civilian TCNs in between us, right? And they got hit. When that fucking thing went off, it shook my truck. And I was 2 miles back.
Oh shit.
It was like a 400-pounder, man. It lit up the fucking sky. But because they were in the MRAP, that's what saved their lives. Now, they were all injured. We had to medevac them. The helicopter couldn't land because it was like they deemed it a hot zone. So we just loaded them up into our MRAP and got those guys to Scania.
No shit, man. I didn't even know.
Yeah, and I took pictures of that fucking MRAP. It had a 12-inch fucking hole blown straight through to the inside.
Yeah, and those MRAPs, well, the name, mine resistant.
Yep.
Armor something fucking or another, I forget, but they're made to be able to take a fucking blast. And a 12-inch hole in one of those fucking things, that's
scary.
A fucking explosion and a half. Yeah, that's insane.
And all them guys lived because of the sprinkler system on the inside of them fucking things and everything. But the gunner was up in the seat. He was an Army guy. The gunner was up in the gun seat. That copper plate blasted through right behind his legs.
Oh shit.
And it burned a hot piece of like molten copper through his fucking leg, blood everywhere. And it like grafted to his bone. I remember running into that Army guy. He was on crutches when I saw him, and he was waiting to get shipped back home because he was wounded, obviously. And I talked to him, and he's like, man, I'm going to be setting off metal detectors the rest of my life. Because it went through his fucking thigh and grafted to the bone of his leg.
Shit.
And so he has this like copper spur on his fucking leg for the rest of his fucking life, man.
Did it like cauterize how was he fucking walking the next day?
It wasn't the next day. I saw him like weeks later, dude.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, he was on crutches back at Kuwait, back in Kuwait, back at Aerodrome.
Oh, okay. So he was a Kuwait gun truck guy.
Yeah, it was one of our convoys in front. He was a Army gun truck.
Okay.
We rolled with our gun trucks were Army, everybody else was Air Force, right?
Well, so was this guy in your convoy team?
No, he was the guys that got hit were the convoy in front of us.
And that was another Air Force convoy.
Yeah, and we pulled them out and put them in our MRAP because their MRAP got hit. So we had to pull all the vehicles off the road and get our MRAP up there to medevac them guys to Scania as fast as possible because we were right up the road from Scania. And so it was our MRAP that saved them guys because we couldn't get a helicopter.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So
wow, man.
I
never heard about that one. That's fucking cool. Well, not cool, but
Yeah, that was the most exciting night of our entire time there. Every other mission, it was just eating beef jerky, drinking rippets, and driving, baby.
Rippet, sir? You have rippet?
You have rippet? You rippet?
Yeah.
Motherfuckers change your tire for a rippet, man.
Yeah, they'd do anything for a rippet.
But that was the one crazy night because we were the one behind them and we had the only functional MRAP. So we had to load them guys up onto it. And I still have pictures of that fucking MRAP, man. That shit was fucking crazy, dude.
If you find them, send them to me.
Yeah. They're on my old hard drive. I'll have to fucking dig it out and plug it in and fucking get all, my old external hard drive, the one that I took down there, I still have it. It has all my pirated music and movies on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that was what we were really afraid of. Most people, most guys, I mean, you talk to guys who've done convoys before, and I've talked to multiple guys who've done convoys before, both Army and Air Force. And, every one of them will tell you, we weren't really afraid of IEDs, but those EFPs, that's what we're really afraid of, man. Them fucking things are designed to punch through armor, you know? Now, the vets, the guys who had done tours before me, it was different. Like some of those guys would tell me stories. They were scared of IEDs because back when they did stuff back in like 07, 06, they were running in like Frankenstein trucks with sandbags in the floors because they didn't have the good armor or anything yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, IEDs were a bit more deadlier to them. But by the time I got there in 09, we had really nice trucks, nice up-armored, what were they, 915s?
Yep.
We had the Rhinos on them. We had the Duke systems inside of them.
Yep.
None of that was like Frankenstein together for us. They were nice, you know. And you say what you want, we were kind of the last of the cowboys because shortly after you and I left in 2010, I think there was only 2 more rotations for the Air Force, and then we gave it all back to the Army, man. That was it.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, OIF was over. It was enduring freedom after that, and it all went back to the Army. Air Force stopped doing convoys.
Yeah.
You know? So anyway, we got back from Iraq in 2010. Got back to my home station in England. My girlfriend died of meningitis while I was away.
Oh, shit.
My English girlfriend from England. I got back and she was just gone. I was wondering why she didn't answer her phone the last couple of weeks I was in Iraq. And I just kind of felt miserable because of all that. So when a TDY to Germany popped up, they were like, who wants to go? And I was like, I do. And and the bosses of the shop pulled me aside, both the civilian and the mass sergeant, our mass sergeant. And they were like, you just got back from Iraq. Don't you want to take 30 days and go home, see your family? But because Tess passed away and I was feeling kind of shitty and depressed about being back in England, and I just was like, no, I want to go to Germany. And so I did. So right after Iraq, I only spent about 2 weeks in England, and I was right back out to a TDY in Germany. And that was good for me at the time because after Iraq, you're pretty exhausted, right? All those missions, living in fucking spank tanks, exhausted, pure exhaustion, I didn't really want to sit around in England moping about and feeling sorry for myself. I wanted to just do work, pour myself into my job so I didn't have to think about Tess passing away. And that seemed to work because I spent a good 3 months in Germany with a group of guys that I was downrange with. So I got to hang out with my buddies from Iraq in their home station, because a lot of them were from Spangdahlem. And I kind of it gave me a chance to kind of get my head together and not mope about and, feel sorry for myself. And that really helped me through some stuff, was to have something to do. I didn't have to just come back to England, and you know how it was in England. Most of the time you sit around that fucking shop waiting for a call. Yeah. And you're just watching Top Gear for 6 hours straight. And it's just, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to work. I wanted to do something. And so I took the TDY, even though Master Sergeant told me, you just got back from Iraq. Maybe you should take your vacation, go home, go back stateside. And I was like, no, sir, I want to do something.
Yeah. Take your mind off of shit. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I went to Germany after that. So basically, I was gone from my home duty station for almost a year because we did, 3 or 4 months, something like that in Germany after, 7 months of convoys. So I was gone for like almost a whole fucking year from my duty station. And I had a great time in Germany. It was a good distraction hanging out with the guys, and my convoy commander from Iraq was stationed at Spangdahlem, so I got to hang out with him, and a couple of the other guys that were on my team were there, and learned a little bit of German, and fucking hung out and had a good old time. Spangdahlem had the F-16s and A-10s.
Yeah, I heard they're shutting that base down.
Most of it is. A lot of European bases are fucking done, man. But that's and then after I got back from Germany, about the time I was in Germany, I started to notice the pain. And that's when I got all the medical stuff done, and they figured out that I had a ruptured disc in my spine. And after after that, when I got back to England, I finally took a vacation, went back home for the first time in my military career. I went back stateside on a vacation. And then when I got back to England, I went through physical therapy and trigger point injections in my neck, got all my MRIs and all that stuff. And by the time all that was over with, I was done, man. I came home.
Yeah, your enlistment was up.
Yep. And our commander, I made BTZ. I made senior airman, BTZ, below the zone.
So for people that don't know, when you get senior airman before they typically would give it to you for doing, being a stellar airman, for being awesome and, whether it's for whatever reasons, they look at your packet, your promotion packet up against everyone else's. And if yours stands out more than the rest, then you run the chance of getting airman below the zone. So awesome, man.
Yep. And, that all happened because not only did I do, I did my job and, went above and beyond with my, daily duties in Iraq, but then right after Iraq, I took a TDY that I didn't need to take.
Yeah.
And, all that stuff helped me get BTZ. And, but the commander pulled me aside and was like, your enlistment's up. If you re-enlist, because he was there with like another colonel who was he was a doctor, from Lakenheath, and they sat me down. I had to go to logistics readiness squadron's headquarters. I had to go to HQ and sit in the colonel's office, and it was a major at the time. We had a new, commander, major.
Yeah. He broke his neck.
Yeah.
That guy. Yeah.
Yeah, him. And I sat down with the major and the medical colonel. And, they sat me down and was like, listen, we can't tell you not to reenlist. You're a stellar airman. We love you. We love having you here. But we pretty much guarantee with these medical records and your ruptured fucking disc in your neck, if you reenlist, we'll med board you. So you got two choices. Do you want to reenlist and then go through a year of medical reviews and med boards, or do you want to just end your enlistment, go home and go see the VA? And, I said, you know what? I'll just go home. So I ended my enlistment, honorable discharge, went home, went to the VA, got my disability, and then started putting my life back together in 2012 till now. So back home in Arkansas doing my thing,
Yeah. So, yeah, that's rough. So was it just the culmination of all the training, the body armor, the helmet that weighs 5,000 pounds and bouncing around in those 915s for, 12, 18 hours at a time, just getting beat to shit? Or was there like one thing that happened that you can remember for your neck, or you think it was just everything?
No, it was a little bit of both. Yes, all of that stuff, but I was in the best shape of my life during those times. I mean, what else do you do in the desert but fucking work out?
Yeah.
So I got back to England. I weighed like 189 pounds. And for a guy my size, like barrel chested, 6'3", I looked like a Holocaust victim at that weight. Like I hated being that weight. It was too low. I've always felt like I looked good at about like 215, 220, right?
Yeah.
But 189 was just ridiculous, like starvation levels of, I was in the best shape of my life in the desert. However, yes, all the bouncing around, wearing the body armor, the helmet and all that stuff didn't help. That definitely hurt a lot of my lower back issues I have. But it was one incident. We were somewhere close to Joint Base Balad. It was like northern Baghdad, right? And all the fucking street lights went out. All of a sudden.
Yeah, that's always a good sign.
Yeah, that's always a fucking great sign, right? And then the gun trucks radioed in and said, We got movement on rooftops. Now, we weren't shot at. There was no real danger. It was a potential kill zone. Like we thought something was going to happen, right? So what did we do? We hit the gas.
Yeah.
Now that mission, I was one of the guys in my team. Our truck commander liked to move me around. One mission I'd be in the TCN vehicle. The next mission I'd be in the Bob, the maintenance Bob, whatever have you. So one mission I drove with the truck commander or convoy commander. But that mission I was in the maintenance Bob because our maintenance guy was like, I rode with him most of the missions because after the first mission with him, he was like, I ain't going with y'all unless Powder's my driver. So
that's a fitting call sign.
Yeah, that was my call sign. So I was in the maintenance Bob that mission, and when the gun trucks called in possible movement on rooftops, we decided to get the fuck out of there. Now, in that area, there was some buildings and stuff. They had laid this like concrete barrier down in the road to act as like a speed bump or something. It was like a T-barrier that they laid down.
Okay.
And we all had to speed up to get out of this, maybe dangerous situation. We didn't know what was happening. Nobody shot at us or anything, thank God. Nobody was, but we sped up to get out of there. And I was in the maintenance Bob, so I didn't have any weight. I had no trailer.
Yeah.
And when I hit that thing, I Dukes a hazard that fucking truck. It went up, dude. And I hit my head on the ceiling with my helmet on.
Yeah.
And I think that's what did my neck.
Yeah.
Because when the truck landed, I bounced and hit my head on the ceiling of my own truck.
Yeah, dude. I in 07 I did a little bit in the maintenance Bob. When and those things, cause there is no weight on that back axle, they beat you to shit.
Yeah.
You go over a little bump and it feels like you fucking hit a goddamn landmine. So you get 75 vehicles and you get that slinky effect where, by the time your trucks start moving faster like the rest of the convoy, the gap between the vehicles is huge. So you fucking floor it just to try and catch up. And those things aren't the fastest. Yeah, man, I can imagine you hit that thing going fast.
Yeah, it wasn't fucking Need for Speed fast, but it was faster than we're used to rolling. We always rolled like 35, 40, right?
We were naughty in 09.
Yeah. Oh, don't get me wrong. That was we did too, but that was the typical speed.
Yeah.
But during that moment when we thought there might be movement on the rooftops and a potential kill zone being formed, I hit that like speed bump thing that was in the road. I hit that probably going about 50, 55.
Yeah, in those trucks, that's dangerous speed to be fucking rocking on a speed bump that size.
Yeah, and I rocked it hard, man. I hit my head on the ceiling. I had my helmet on. Usually you take your fucking helmet off because you're like, fuck it, right? But
yeah.
When they called up was like movement on rooftops, I put my helmet on.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did because when I hit the ground after I went airborne over the speed bump, when we hit, I bounced real hard and I hit my head on the ceiling. And it was after that I started to kind of notice some pain. But in the desert, you ignore the pain because your whole body's kind of sore. You're exhausted. You're constantly working. So I just kind of ignored it. It wasn't until I got to Germany on the TDY that I was like, why can't I fucking turn my head to the right? Why is my neck malfunctioning? And that's when I went to the hospital in Spangdahlem and they sent me to Ramstein hospital because it was bigger and had more equipment and shit. And that's when they did MRI on my neck and they got back to me and was like, yeah, you got a bulge disc that's about to just rupture. And by the time I got back to England, it had pretty much ruptured.
Yeah.
So, and I can't get the fusion because it's so high up on my neck that if they were to fuse my spine, the doc told me that there'd be a 60% chance that I wake up paralyzed from the neck down.
Yeah, that's not good odds.
And that was really bad odds for me, and I decided to just deal with the pain for the rest of my life. So
Yeah,
I have mostly good days because I'm not out there anymore doing, I used to play football, I used to lift things, I used to fucking run and do workouts and stuff. I don't do any of that high impact stuff anymore because it hurts.
yeah.
So most of the time, if I get a little neck pain because I slept funny, I pop some ibuprofen and just deal with it, and it's no big deal. But they gave me 30% disability, which I think personally it should be higher, but I didn't feel like fighting the VA. I'm okay with it, and that's that. That's the end of my 6 years in the military, or whatever, or 5.5, because I signed up for 4, but I had to do I had to extend my enlistment in order to match the 2 years in England.
Right. Yeah.
So I did like 5.5 years, almost 6 years, 5 years and 7 months, something like that, and then I was out. So, and then I did some security work. Got my CDL when I got back to Arkansas. I did some truck driving for a little bit, but that started to hurt my back a lot. All that bouncing up and down, even with the nice air seats and the nice modern semi truck.
Yeah.
It's still, 12 hours over the road. It was killing me. So I gave up trucking and I worked some security gigs, and I worked, some other kind of extra work. I did my security work, and then I cleaned buildings for extra money. I was like a I own my own little janitorial company. I clean apartments after people move out. I cleaned a school after the kids left for the day. I'd stay in, I'd go and clean the whole school at night. And, I did that for some extra cash on top of my security work. And then I decided, screw all this. I'm going to use my GI Bill.
Okay.
So, I went to school and I got a degree in, commercial art and design.
Okay.
And, after I was done with school, it was about 2 years. I had 2 years left on my GI Bill when I started my YouTube channel. I finished out school while I was doing YouTube. And once I got out of school, my YouTube channel kind of took off. I got 32,000 subscribers and growing.
That's badass, dude.
Yeah. And I was making enough money off of ads and merchandise and all that stuff that I didn't have to do any other job. So now I just became a full-time YouTuber, and I don't use that degree, but I don't hate having it because it was GI Bill. I didn't have to pay any money for it,
Yep. Yeah. Well, I'm not using mine either. When I got out and went to school, and I guess long story short, yeah, I'm not using it either. But yeah, it didn't cost me a dime. Yeah,
unlike other people I know who racked up $80,000 in student loans, I didn't have to do that.
Yeah, worth it.
So, and it is a commercial art degree. So if you think about it, with my video editing and all that stuff, I'm kind of using it.
Yeah, I would think so.
So, and that's been my life since. I went from dirtbag airman to YouTube wizard.
Yeah, everyone, you need to check his channel out. I find it's good comedy, man. It's definitely put a smile on my face. So yeah, go check out Magog.
Yeah. And I love the character. I love playing the character, and that's why I've decided to expand my operation. I'm building a studio. I'm going to start doing actual scripted comedy instead of these like political kind of comedy response videos. And I'm getting an acting troupe together. I'm getting a comedy troupe together, and I'm going to start doing these kind of Monty Python type skits and stuff.
That's great. Yeah. I fucking love Monty Python.
Right. And once I get enough subscriber base to, do a GoFundMe to raise some money, I'm going to clear some more of my land I got 12 and a half acres, and I'm going to build a medieval village, fully functional medieval village, and I'm going to film a sitcom with the characters I created right here in Arkansas for the internet, to be released on the internet for free. It's going to be like a Netflix thing. Like I'll release 12 episodes a year all at once, like a full season, and you can binge watch it. And that's the plan. I'm trying to put together a comedy troupe here locally and get some voice actors to do some of the puppets and stuff. So, I'm going to build the medieval village, and it's going to be kind of cool because I want it to be like a functional movie set. This isn't going to be some like LARPing thing. It's going to look real. It's going to look like there's going to be like a smith and a tavern and houses, and it's all going to be a comedy. It's all going to be very kind of Blackadder, Monty Python, Mel Brooks, kind of mixture of all those influences that I love. And that's my future, hopefully, is that I raise enough money to build a fully produced show, not just these little YouTube videos,
Yeah. So how people got to find you? You said, are you on Twitter too, you said?
Yeah. If you search Twitter for MAGOG, Magog, you'll find me. I'm just look for the wizard in the black hood. And I have a beard and these white eyes with the black makeup on my face, and I act drunk and crazy. And the idea of the channel, when I first created it back in 2017, the idea was I wanted to talk about these political things at the time, and I still do a lot of political stuff and insult comedy. I like to pull up videos of retarded people and make fun of them.
You said the R word.
But basically, there was all this stuff going on in about 2014, 2015, Gamergate started, and then a lot of the SJW stuff started really happening heavily. You had those like radical feminists coming out. The election of Donald Trump, 2016 election was crazy. It just sent everybody over the edge, and everybody was screaming in the streets and crying. And I just really, I wanted to stop watching this stuff and actually start commenting on it. But I didn't want to do it the way other YouTubers were doing it. So many other YouTubers I watch, guys with hundreds of thousands of subs, even sometimes upwards of millions of subscribers. And they would use like a cartoon avatar, or they would just do audio, or they would do like a live stream format with like their camera on and you could see their like kitchen in the background. I wanted it to be a immersive kind of independent film mixed with political comedy and satire. So I created a character, and I sat down and I created the world that he lives in. So the idea was a fantasy world exists with dragons and monsters and magic. And Magog uses dark magic to open a window into our world and is seeing it for the first time. So it's like that outsider looking in perspective. And that was the original idea of the show, and that's basically what I've been doing since on YouTube, is that Magog would pull stuff up from our world and be like, what the hell is this? What are you people doing? I live in a world filled with war and death and dragon fire, but you people are scary. Like,
yeah.
And it's from the perspective of a guy who basically lives in a horrifying place. And then it started to turn into something else. And that's where the sitcom came from. I started to build the world. And before I knew it, I had written 5,000 years of history for the world of Voth and the kingdoms within Voth. So you have Morskar, Sundervale, Avendoom, Sarthos, Danoth, Valmora, Volgoth, all these kingdoms. Magog's obviously from Morskar. He's from the kingdom of Morskar in the world of Voth. And I shit you not, Ryan, I have 5,000 years of history written for this world.
It's awesome, man.
It has different gods and different races. There's like elves and fairies and like I wrote it all. It's tons of lore, And from there, it started to turn into something else. It started to turn into more of a movie almost, or like something people could get into, not just for the political comedy, but as an adventure. It felt real. Like people would watch me on screen and I'd have a whole set with a green screen. There's like a dragon flying by the window in the background. It was radically different than what everybody else was doing on YouTube. And that's what helped me gain some success. It's because I was doing these like higher production value comedy skits mixed with the political views that I believe in, because I'm a bit more of a conservative, and I feel like we live in a world right now where if you just disagree with somebody, you're instantly like a racist Nazi. Yeah, and I so disagree with that so much that I had to create a wizard character to express my anger.
Yeah, it's great, man. Yeah, I see your vids pop up. I'm a subscriber, and yeah, I watch them, and they make me laugh. Most of the time, I have to admit, I'm sitting on the toilet when I'm watching your videos. Stinking up the bathroom.
That's the best time to watch my shit show. That's the best time to watch my shit show. But I want it to be more. Like, I watch my videos, and Magog's doing his jokes. I write these scripts, and I'm doing these jokes, and I'm making fun of, politicians or celebrities or, whatever I want to talk about. But I'm watching it going, kind of getting burnt out on the politics. It's getting harder to really anchor myself in the political world. I kind of want to break free from that and do actual scripted comedy that takes place in Magog's world and has nothing to do with our world.
Yeah.
And that's where the idea came of like building the village, building Magog's magic shop, having him interact with other characters and stuff. And so I've been creating these wonderful characters, getting some of my friends and people in the local area to dress up and come out and be characters. All that's coming real soon. I've got some really cool stuff. I got a buddy of mine. He's going to play like a skeleton knight. That's like Magog's best friend. And I got this really great fucking prop mask. I know the people won't be able to see it because there's no video. But, like, I got this for him to wear. He's going to have all this armor on, and he's going to wear like a solid black mask so you can't see his eyes or his skin. And it's
that's legit. Yeah, it's so people that can't see what I'm seeing is it's a skeleton face mask with a movable jaw, and it looks pretty badass.
Yeah, and he's gonna be kind of one of these like kind of terrifying looking monster creatures, and then when he talks, he's like, "Hey, what's up? I'm Jeff."
How's it going?
And then I've got this other great character who never shows his face. He's got a helmet on all the time. He's a knight.
Yeah.
And his name is Best Knight Ever. But knight is Knight, right? So he's Best Knight Ever, and he's a flaming homosexual.
Nice.
So I've got all these like zany characters I'm writing, and I'm gonna get different people to play them, and I think it's gonna be fun, man. And it's what I've always dreamed of doing. I've always wanted to make money off of my creativity. And I've always wanted to be able to create something from the ground up and be like, I did that. I created that. I get to see my name up on the screen, written and directed by, and I will do almost anything to reach that goal. So it's just been basically over the years, it's been an uphill battle, a Sisyphean battle to raise enough money to finally do what I want to do. So.
All right on. That's awesome, man. Looking forward to it. I know I'll check it out. Yeah, so check out Magog, man. I appreciate you coming on, man. Appreciate you taking the time out of your day, out of your busy schedule, and talking to me and sharing your experiences. It's been awesome, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on, and I mean, I guess we'll talk a little bit after the show, but, you know, I like that you're reaching out and doing the little podcast about the military and stuff. People, I think it's a good thing because there's a lot of vets out there that are fans of mine. I talk to them in the Discord. I do hangouts with my fans, and so many of them served and they're vets and they're out now, or some of them are even still active duty. And I'll talk to these guys and they don't have support group. You know, they have very few friends that understand what they went through in the military.
Right.
And I think it's a good thing that they can tune into something like this and have a place they belong and know that there's other people out there that have been through what they've been through, experienced things that they've experienced, and we can help them through some of that stuff just by listening to our conversation and knowing that they're not alone out there. So thank you for doing this podcast, man.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, stay on, man. I'll stop the recording and we'll talk a little bit more. Thanks again. Take it easy, everyone.